Football full circle.
Can the Eagles slow down the Saints?
I still like Jalen Hurts in regards to this type of situation. Yep. Crowd noise is going to be off the charts, but I'll take a shot plus 130 on the money line. I think they win the ball game outright. The only thing I can't wrap my head around is, can we get over this 49.5? I mean, that's a huge number to get.
It's Football Full Circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Carver and Lisi.
Not only that, but what happened? I heard Roy from Nebraska wanted to call in last night.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm Roy from Nebraska.
What does it matter if I know it's you?
Because then you prepare yourself. When you think it's Roy from Nebraska.
Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Prepare myself for what?
For the wrath that I'm going to club you with.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Days are getting cooler and shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means? It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Please welcome.
It's the opening kickoff with Carver and Lisi.
All right, here we go. Carver and Lisi with you. SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Great to have you with us on a Friday night on the grid. 844-843-6879 is the number. Very, very busy Friday night. As always, you know what we do on Friday nights. First hour, college football, preview picks, all that. Second hour, NFL preview picks. We get you all set up for the football weekend here on CNL. We have some other things going on as well. There is only a week and 2 days left in the regular season of Major League Baseball. So we're going to try to get a couple dingers tonight. But football will be the focus because we also don't want to hear Joe Bellyache either. And that'll be, he'll bellyache if it's anything besides football tonight. Mike Carver,
what do you mean,
and the encyclopedia of college football. The one, the only. Go for the two, Joe Lisi. Hi, Joe.
What does that mean, Bell? What are you talking about, Bellyache? What are you talking about, Bellyache?
You got upset when I gave the score to baseball game. You don't want you want the baseball out. You don't want the baseball mentioned on a football show on a Friday. We can't mention it. No baseball. Who cares if there's a week left? Who get ham. It's all happening now. That's it.
I tell you what. After that snooze fest last night, and we missed the same game parlay. I wish it was on Ohtani for 10 RBIs and 6 for 6 with 3 home runs. Why couldn't I have that over altered last night? How come you didn't see that coming, Wheel? I mean, really, I'm doing the football on the network. The least you could do is give us a smash over with the Marlins. I mean, 20-6, 20-4. I could have altered that.
You had the syndicate show going on, so I know that you were busy with that, with the syndicate plays. But
yeah, meanwhile,
look,
my plays came through. Braylon Allen. I wanted Garrett Wilson for 1 touchdown. We had to go for 2 because it wasn't big enough. And let me tell you.
So here's what you need to do. You need to next week. You got to come with some bigger plays. Okay, you got to have some bigger plays next week. Bigger plays.
Okay,
next
Wheel.
Week. And
stop
and you chewed off too much with the 41.5. The 41.5, you chewed too much off with that. You know what game was never getting to that high. Never getting that
What
high.
a gutless effort. What a gutless effort, by the way, Carver. I mean, really. I mean, seriously, like no joke, like Gerard Mayo. Do you really think we're gonna run it? Like we're gonna try to make steel out of granite? I mean,
Well,
really, he's
look,
pathetic. I mean,
I was
come
going
on.
to bring this up to you, and it's a good way to start tonight, and then we'll get into all the college for this week. That game on Thursday night, that's the norm now in today's NFL, Joe, unfortunately. That's the norm. That kind of game, boring. Now, for every opening night Raven Chief game, which was a great game, right? Back and forth, down to the end. It was a fun game. For every one game like that, there's 15 like the Jets and the Patriots last night.
Yeah,
I mean, you
but,
go look at
but wait a
Sunday's
second.
slate, Joe. I mean, it's like the 4 o'clock window was all bad games. It was all bad. Like, there's just
How-
the quality of play, Joe. I
Too
told
high.
you, didn't I give this to you the other day? First 2 weeks of the season. Last few years ago, like 4 years ago, 120 touchdown passes thrown in the first 2 weeks. This year, 66 or 67 or something like that.
You know what it is?
Where's the offense, Joe?
Well,
Where's
I'm
the
gonna
offense?
go here. I came this close from tweeting out supposedly every NFL guru. Okay, and let me just say, the Sunday night game, the first thing between the Rams and Detroit was a pretty good primetime game. That was a pretty
It
good
was
prime.
okay.
Went to overtime.
But like the
All right.
Texan Bear game was awful.
Yeah, no, you're right.
The
you're right.
Jet
All right.
Patriot game awful. Even
so-
my Bills.
so-
I was
so-
glad the Bills killed the Dolphins last week.
Okay.
But the game was a
So-
snoozer.
Let me just say this, okay? This now, the perception is, they're playing more too high safeties. Tampa. Okay, back in 2017 and 2018, when they started, all these offenses started to go 5 wide, and they were taking up the up-tempo offensive attacks from college with the spread. That was the same year Goff and Mahomes threw for 50, and what did Goff have? 38 touchdowns that year. That was the year they lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But bottom line is this, Carver. Right, this is it. If that's the case, okay, that now we're getting this mediocre, blue collar, ugly type of play because everybody's playing too high safeties, then it's one of two things. The defensive coordinators were absolute morons for not running it sooner because the Tampa 2 with Monty Kiffin and Tony Dungy were around since the hands of time, the last 30 years. Okay, that's the first thing, and number two. I think personally it's a change. Now all the offenses are running the football. Every throw is short to intermediate. Nobody's taking shots. It's like this evolution that the NFL comes out and says we don't want high scoring games anymore. And then all of a sudden the playbook. But here you want to know why? Do you really want to know why? The Lisi theory. I'll throw it. Books are getting smashed with the overs 6 years ago, and now we got to have unders. That's what I think. That's what I think. And now we got all these low-scoring games. Let me ask you this, Carver. Seriously, realistically, okay? How do the books, okay, if you look at the numbers, right? How do the books know the numbers from the algorithms based off of how do they know it's going to change? How do they have Pat Mahomes adjusted down 400 or 500 yards and touchdown passes adjusted downward based off what? Last year? Well, how do you know it's not going to change this year? There's got to be an edge. Somehow, some way, there's got to be an edge. Either the NFL with the baseballs. You can't tell me, Carver, and you know I was right about that, with the baseballs in terms of the different baseballs
I
and
don't
everything
disagree
else.
that there's something fishy with the baseballs. I will not I don't disagree whatsoever. I feel like they
I'll
dumbed it
still
down
watch the
this year.
games, but when the league puts its footprint on something, it's like a league-wide thing. Right? Like now all of a sudden, 3 years ago, the Chiefs were basically the only ground and pound type of offense. Now you got the Ravens, you got the Chargers, you got the Bears, you got all these teams that want to methodically work down the field. What happened? What happened to the spread offense? Grip it and rip it. Whatever happened to that?
I want offense, Joe. I want offense. These games suck. So many of them games suck. Like I said, for every Raven Chief game, there's 15 Jet Patriot games. It's painful.
But the
boring,
Patriots are in a position like that. They're in a rebuild, right? But you got to develop talent, though. They have nobody.
And I know you're not allowed to say that, Joe, because the NFL's king and everybody eats it up, and I get it. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm not sitting here trying to bash the NFL. Everybody loves it. Sundays, the whole deal.
Right, I love it.
The quality of play has declined year by year by year the past few years. Getting worse.
Yeah.
It's not getting better. It's a problem. All right? And we're going to have to shift, Joe, to just playing unders now. Under.
I know, Carver. I'm not playing under. No, stop with the
under.
unders. Stop with the under. The minute you and I play an under, then all of a sudden we have 6 PI interference calls down the field. Whatever happened? That's why the NFL kills me. With all of the rule changes and knowing that on any 20-yard pass, okay, where there's a little illegal contact or the receiver gets a little bit held, they're calling PI. So why aren't teams throwing down the field? All of the rules suggest that you should throw the ball 30 yards downfield and have a one-on-one opportunity. Either you're going to get PI or you guys going to catch it. So why aren't teams doing it? Why? Tell me why. I want the answer. I said it, not you. Tell me.
You said it. You said it, Joe.
I said it. And it doesn't matter because I'll still bet on the games. I'll still watch the games. But you know as well as anybody, once Goodell and the league makes a statement, we got to protect the hip drop tackle. The hip drop tackle got to protect. We'll just have garbage cans out there. We won't have defense. I mean, come on.
Can't hit anybody, yet they still can't score. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that's for sure. All right, Joe, we'll come back. It's college hour. We'll start to get into a very good college slate. Maybe not the biggest games, but I think as a whole it's a pretty good slate, Joe. I don't think we have too many big bangers, but we'll get through it. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio. A Friday night on the grid. We're back after this.
Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Illinois drop
series are coming in. Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better.
Get the winning edge.
Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us.
800-959-6348. 800-959-6348. 800-959-6348. Call right now before it's too late. That's 800-959-6348.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Kaplan and crew.
When I see lazy work on ESPN, I can't take it. You know who they had as the game of the night? The Yankees and the Mariners. A game that ended 11-3, I think. Listen, man, if you want to show your East Coast bias, and I know a lot of people may not care about this, but I do. If you want to show your East Coast bias, just come on the show and say, hey, in New York, if y'all were asleep last night, this is what happened to the Yankees.
It's Kaplan and crew with Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Right before your very eyes, the boys of summer are about to become the champions of fall.
MLB playoffs are coming.
And SportsGrid will bring you all the angles, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah! And we're back. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159. Great to have you with us here. Oh, the great 844-843-6879 is the number. Ketel Marte, homer for Arizona. We were on him, Joe, so that's a nice start to the night here in this game between the Diamondbacks and the Brewers. So we got some things cooking now here on a Friday night. All right, Joe, we do college in the first hour. We'll do the picks later this hour. We'll do NFL in the second hour, and we'll get through all of the games for this week. Pretty good week, Joe. You know, obviously, I think we're starting to, where next week is when it really begins, Joe, in terms of like the real marquee stuff, right? Like I was looking today. Next week you have, is Georgia, Alabama next week, Joe? Georgia, Bama's next week, which is
7
a
o'clock.
heavy hitter.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's a
7:30
great
game on there. It's a great game, and you have a few other Ohio States and Michigan State, but that's really the marquee game. But you're going to start to get into, Joe, the next few weeks. Now, the big one, I guess, is October 12th, right?
12th.
That's the Ohio State, Oregon, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida, Tennessee, Penn State, USC, Texas, Oklahoma. That is a massive Saturday.
Baby, October 12th. A little
big
pumpkin
one.
spice. Can you taste it? Once a little nip in the air and you get that first frost. Ooh, I love it.
I know. It's
A
great.
little pumpkin spice.
There is college tonight, Joe. In fact,
yes.
They are obviously underway in Nebraska, where Illinois took the opening drive down the field and scored. I just jumped on Nebraska -2.5, Joe. I was able to get 2.5 for the Cornhuskers.
I saw 1.5.
Lifetime left in this game, obviously, and it's 7-0. How about at the Dome, where Stanford has a 7-0 lead over Syracuse, Joe?
Yeah.
And they just finished the first quarter. So, and they're driving. They're on the Syracuse 32. They do have a 2nd and 19, but they're in Syracuse territory. So not a good start for Syracuse, who I think everyone envisioned, Joe. No problem, right? With Stanford coming across the country to play them in their first ACC.
I mean, crazy things happen in that you can't call it the Carrier Dome anymore, but, I always, the Carrier Dome.
Always call it the Carrier Dome.
Whatever they call it now.
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. And I'll say this, and I told you this. I told Ben this. I told everybody. I did hits today across the nation. Illinois.
Important.
I am. Encyclopedia. Illinois has won 3 of the last 4 against Nebraska. They have covered 3 of the last 4 against. They always play Nebraska. Doesn't matter. There's just some teams that just cover against certain teams, like in the Big Ten. This is one of them. Doesn't matter records, doesn't matter quarterback, doesn't matter, talent. Somehow, some way, Illinois is like a gnat you can't get rid of. This is it. I didn't bet this game in terms of the side. I'm on the total, 42.5. So Swiss Army knife, slice and dice. I want to see points aplenty, right? But I wouldn't take a side here. I mean, I'm telling you, they're going to hang around. Bielema catching points, you know that. They beat him with Adrian Martinez 3 years ago, week 1. Remember when the kid cost me the total? The hack kicker missed the extra point. He cost me the total. I lost by a half. Gutless. Remember that?
That was the game that was supposed to be in Ireland, but they didn't play it in Ireland, right?
Because of COVID. Because of the COVID, right? Was that the COVID year or the year after COVID? I think it was 21.
It was the year after, but they still weren't sending him to Ireland yet in that thing. Yeah. So I remember that game. It was a week 0 game. It was an opening week 0. Even
it was
they still played it in week 0, even though they weren't in Ireland.
Oh man, I had the over. The kid cost me. It was just gutless.
And hey, I've been pretty good with Wazoo so far here the last couple weeks. I've hit them 2 weeks in a row with Texas Tech and with Washington. They've got San Jose State. I think they're a lot better than them. I'm surprised this is under 2 touchdowns, Joe. I think it's only under 2 touchdowns because San Jose State has come out of the gate a little bit better than people thought they were going to be. Remember, said Brennan's gone, going to be the worst team in the Mountain West, all blah, 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 blah. Well, tonight, Joe, I think we see that team. I think Washington State dropped the hammer on them here tonight. Let's go.
And I think you're seeing the discounted price because of the rivalry game last week, right? They get the victory over Washington, Wazoo, so maybe a little bit of a letdown in regards to
I don't think there's weeks off for this team, Joe. I think that
no. I'm not saying. I'm saying from the line perspective.
This coach has them focused because of what happened to them. You guys are the outcasts. You guys were left behind. I think that there is definitely some rallying.
No, you're right. No, I agree with that. I'm saying why you're seeing the discounted line. That's kicked in.
Right.
The rivalry, and now, a letdown. 10-0 Stanford. They kicked the field goal.
Oh, did they? Okay. So there you go. 10-0 now for the tree out there in Syracuse. Let's start to do some of these big games, Joe. At least get some thoughts on them. First of all, I love this Oklahoma-Tennessee game. Obviously, Oklahoma's first game here in the SEC, and they've got and you love the storylines. Heupel, of course, won a national championship at Oklahoma, was a coach for Stoops, and then got chopped by Stoops as well, and now he's gone on to bigger and better things. They've got this kid, Nico, who's just been absolutely dynamite in these first few games. This has gone from, really, Joe, 7.5 early in the week, 6.5 tonight here on a Friday night. What are you thinking for Oklahoma and Tennessee?
I did the numbers today. Such a good home team. Now, part of it was with Lincoln Riley and obviously the carryover with Brett Venables. They are, since 2018, straight up 37-3, right? They won the games last year by 30 points per game. They're winning the games this year at home by 23.8 points per game. A more methodical offense with Jackson Arnold, right? So they're not as explosive as they were with Dylan Gabriel. But they do force turnovers, +8 in turnover margin. I'll just say this. I am playing this game. I altered the spread over the key number of 7. I actually altered it to 10.5. I'm willing, just because I put it in one of those parlays. But I like Oklahoma. I think the one thing I'm willing to take a shot is because Nico is on a true road game, right? He played in Charlotte. That was a neutral field against NC State. This is a true road environment. And they're going to be lathered up in Norman. So maybe I could get some turnovers and we could feed off that. I'll agree with you. If Tennessee jumps up 10-0, it's probably lights out, but I'll take a shot with the point.
I'm picking this game as well later, Joe, so we'll get my thoughts on it. Carver and Lisi Sports Radio, Sirius XM 159. We're back after this.
Don't look like an idiot at work.
Know your stuff.
What happened here?
Everything
what happened in
smarter to be
Nebraska?
on
What happened? They were driving.
This is the
What
SportsGrid
happened?
Radio Network.
For anyone who's worried
You got
about back
sacked?
taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next,
happened here?
stop and listen. Not filing your taxes
Oh,
can have
what a
severe
play that
consequences,
was.
especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes. Hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1939, the Brown Bomber Joe Louis KOs Bob Pastor in 11 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1973, Billie Jean King beats Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes tennis match. And in 1987, Sweetness Walter Payton scores his NFL record 107
They're driving,
rushing
Carver.
touchdown.
Did you lay the 2.5?
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
Huh? Did you
Carver and Lisi.
Not only that, but what happened? I heard Roy from Nebraska wanted to call in last night.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm Roy
I don't know
from
why.
Nebraska.
What does it matter if I know it's you?
Because then you prepare yourself. When you think it's Roy from Nebraska.
Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Prepare myself for what?
For the rant that I'm going to club you with.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network.
When the weather cools off.
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up. Sit tight. The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information to give you the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
We're back. Carver and Lisi SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Great to have you with us here on a Friday night on the grid. Of course, the college football hour 1, NFL hour number 2. All right, Joe. You're right. You know who I'm on, and it doesn't matter. I'll tell you now. I think Tennessee's going to smash them. So you can halt that up to whatever you want. 7.5,
hero.
10.5, 13.5,
Whoa.
this and a half. I'll alt it too, Joe. I'll alt it to 16.5. laying.
Okay, Corso.
16.5.
All right,
I'll lay
Corso. I got you. There you go, Coach.
16.5.
All right.
Okay.
Put on the hat.
Okay.
Why don't you put on Smokey's hat?
I
Yeah,
should.
Come on.
I
should.
Put
on
the
the
hat
headgear.
on. We should do that here now that we got this. We got the video now. Get the headgear on.
I got the headgear. What do you want, Oak State?
I lost the
What do you
music.
want, Oak
I had a
State
thing
at
though in the
LSU?
first couple of weeks. I had that thing the first couple of weeks where the big pick, I was putting out the fight song for the last pick that I was doing. I've lost that, at least for now. We're hopefully going to get that back. But still, one way or the other, Joe, have it. How about USC and Michigan, Joe? Are you picking USC and Michigan? You picking that game?
For the picks? No, not for the.
Okay, tell me what you think about USC and Michigan.
Again, we know USC on paper is the better team. They're coming off a bye. But again, Michigan, I think, can run the football on them. I mean, the biggest thing is that, USC is giving up 100 rushing yards per game. What do you get out of Orgy? I think they run it 50 yards 50 times in this matchup. I think Donovan Edwards, Mullings, offensive line. You want to beat the big boys? Let's see if you're ready for Big Ten play. This is Michigan's first Big Ten game. I'm willing to take a shot. Plus 5.5. I like them. I don't love it, but I like them. Again, I did bet it, but with an alt line, and I put it with Donovan Edwards for 90 plus. I took Michigan plus 10.5. I did. I think they're going to run on them. That's it.
Yeah,
Raleigh, get it in there. It's wide open. Give them a block. They're
Who's
driving.
moving,
Did
Joe?
you take Nebraska? They're inside the 5.
I took Nebraska live minus
Good.
2.5.
Good.
Live
I got
minus
over
2.5.
42.5. Can we both eat here? Can we both eat?
It would
Guys
be nice.
making
I mean,
guys
we're never on the
miss.
same.
Kid
We're
wants
never
it.
rooting for the same thing around here. No, we're never on the same
70-yard drive.
stuff.
The only thing, 70-yard drive by Nebraska, 7 minutes off the clock. This is college football.
Well, that's not great for you. No, that's not ideal.
This is where this is what happened when we killed college football with not stopping the clock after first downs. You got to be kidding me. What a stupid dopey
Let me just
rule.
tell you something. That was something that you blew out of proportion so much, and it has made zero impact on the game, Joe. Zero impact on the game.
Really?
Zero.
You
Zero
know
impact.
for a fact. What's zero impact? What's
Zero
impact?
impact.
Zero? Why?
Zero
Because you
impact
could
on the
watch a
game.
game within 3 hours and still go to the
They
kids?
even gave you the dopey 2-minute warning that they're not allowed to call a 2-minute warning at the end. They've even given that back. Whatever the hell they call that nonsense at
What do
the
you
end
mean?
of the
they
game.
call it a 2-minute warning. What are you talking
You're
about?
not
They
allowed-
can't
no,
call
college, they don't call it that. College, all the guys made that out. They don't want to call a 2-minute warning. They call it something else. 2-minute break, 2-minute stoppage, whatever the hell they call it. You're not allowed to say
First of all, I'm
2-minute
not
warning.
even listening to the announcers. I put every game on mute because I don't want to hear anybody talk. Unless I'm at
Mackenzie Milton.
That's
You don't want
only
any of
when I'm
that?
at a sports. That's only when I'm at a sports bar and I'm forced to hear Joe Testator. And I tell you, I get like a little gut wrenching thing if I'm betting a favorite and Testator's on the call, because this guy is like the underdog killer. Like he all he does is slay favorites. Testator. That's all he does. Anytime Testator's on the call, favorites go down like the Titanic. They go down like the Titanic when Testator's on the call. Down
You
like
love
a
this
dart.
guy. I saw he's doing
it's
he's doing wrestling now too, right? He does wrestling now, Testator.
Yeah, WWE. I could see Testator. I'm hoping somebody drops him on a table, like Triple H or something. Could we do that? See Testator go through a table? No, with the wrestling. Could we beat him up a little bit? Fictitiously.
Fictitiously, sure, Joe. Whatever you want to do, we can go ahead and do that.
Well, wrestling's real.
It is real. I'm sure it's real when you hit one of those tables. When we come back, Joe, we will start the picks. And hopefully we get a lot of the big games, and then whatever we don't touch on in our picks, we will try to get in throughout the end of the hour. And of course, a thought from the encyclopedia of college football about everything that he's going to do. So we'll come back. Carver and Lisi, college football picks. I'll give you the updated sheet of integrity where the win-loss record here through a few weeks and see where we're sitting at going into it. Carver and Lisi SportsGrid Radio on a Friday night. We're back on the grid right after this.
Time to coil up that garden hose. And SportsGrid has you covered with strategies and info on football, baseball, and everything else. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Purdue University physicists have opened the world's first quantum disco with the world's tiniest disco ball. And by tiny, I mean a disco ball 1/100th the width of a human hair, made of glowing fluorescent nanodiamonds levitating inside a pure vacuum, spinning 1.2 billion times per minute. The point? Not to improve your platform shoe disco finger, but to simulate what happens to qubits inside a quantum computer. Computing power that could be 150 billion times faster than yesterday's supercomputer. And that's a lot cooler than John Travolta doing the funky chicken. Follow me at Chicapalvo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Kaplan and Crew.
When I see lazy work on ESPN, I can't take it. You know who they had as the game of the night? The Yankees and the Mariners. A game that ended 11-3, I think. Listen, man, if you want to show your East Coast bias, and I know a lot of people may not care about this, but I do. If you want to show your East Coast bias, just come on the show and say, hey, in New York, if y'all were asleep last night, this is what happened to the Yankees.
It's Kaplan and Crew with Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime, on the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Fall is almost here. It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
And we're back. Carver and Lisi with you, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159, here with you on a Friday night on the grid. Of course, college football picks this hour, NFL preview picks next hour. All right, Joe, let's get things rolling here for this week. Last week, Joe was 3-4, which gets him to 13-12 on the season so far. I was 4-3 last week, gets me to 15-10. On the season so far. So 15-10, which I'm very happy about, Joe, especially since I was 1-3 in that awful week 0, which means I'm really 14-7 this year. So that makes me feel very good because I don't count week 0, Joe. Nobody should. Week 0 stinks. But either way, Joe, we have a big slate, a lot of great games. Get us going, Joe. Who do you like this week?
All right, so you ready? So I got a lot of dogs, Carver. So let's start in Death Valley. All right, Clemson and NC State. We know that Grayson McCall is out of the lineup. CJ Bailey, the freshman, comes in. Do you know, Carver, NC State has not won in Death Valley since 2002. Chuck Amato, T.A. McClendon, Phillip Rivers, they've lost the last 4 in Death Valley by an average margin of defeat of 23 points per game. I don't care. I think NC State's going to be live this weekend. I don't know how they do it, but this line opened up at 16.5, went up to 20.5. It came back down. It's right in the middle at 18.5. I think they run it. They get it into an ugly game, and give me NC State plus the 18.5 against Clemson. I think Clemson potentially is the best team in the ACC, but I'm not sold on their offense. Give me the Wolfpack in regards to the points. Pick number 1. Pick number 2. Billy Napier's on the hot seat, Carver. This line opened up at 4.5. I know you were on Miss State against Arizona State. They let you down, but I'm a believer of Jeff Levy. I just believe their offense can move the football a little bit more consistently. I know Florida is looking for an identity. Graham Mertz, DJ Lagway, and this line opened up 4.5. It's up to 6.5. The teams haven't played since 2018. I don't care. Give me the team with the solid head coach, the better quarterback. I like Blake Shapen, and I like that offensive philosophy. I think Miss State upsets Florida this weekend in Starkville. I'm taking the points with the Bulldogs in regards to that matchup. You ready? You sitting down? We're going head-to-head in this. I'm not sold on Oak State. The fact that you like Oak State 5 other people on the network like Oak State. Guess what? I'm not a believer. You know why? Because I put Oak State on the map. Not you, not him, me. I had the 60-1 ticket on Oak State last year to win the Big 12. I had the 48-1 ticket on Oak State to win the Big 12. Not you, not him, not her, me. And everybody now is back in Oak State and Ollie Gordon, right? They almost got knocked off by Arkansas State. Now everybody's worried because Cam Rising will play, he won't play, he play. I don't care if he plays. The more physical team in terms of this matchup is Utah. They're laying 1.5 now. I'm not sold on Alan Bowman. That's the crutch. That's the weakness. They shut him down, forced turnovers. Give me Utah minus the 1.5 on the road. They knock off your Cowboys in Stillwater. And a quick stat, Oklahoma State 20-3 straight up at home. Well, I hope all the world is taking the points because I think Utah wins that ball game. Here's another one. Everybody's pumping up Cam Ward and Miami. Oh, best top 5 team. The U, they're back. Here we go. Yeah, top 5, national championship, ACC, Byron Brown, USF, and the Bulls catching 16.5. I think they run it. They're certainly not going to fear big chest in Miami in regards to this matchup after almost going toe-to-toe with Alabama. They were in that game from start to finish. They're averaging 268 on the ground. That's enough for me. In Tampa and Raymond James, crazy things happen. Give me the Bulls with the 16.5 in regards to that matchup. Here's another one. I'm going after you. You're big on Nico and Tennessee and Josh Heupel. Billy Club special, Oklahoma, outright. Plus the 6.5. I told you I love them. Give me the 6.5 with Oklahoma. They force turnovers. I'm not sold on this team in terms of Tennessee. I think they still need some work. They beat up on mediocre competition. Oklahoma could be a little bit better than what people think, especially at home. 37-3 straight up since 2018. Here's my guy. Perfect opportunity for a bounce back spot. Bing, bing, bing. Joey Maguire and the Red Raiders statement game this coming Saturday in Lubbock. We know that Lubbock is a hornet's nest. Arizona State went into Texas State. They got the victory 31-28 as a slight dog last Thursday. Texas State isn't like Texas Tech, let me tell you that. This potentially could be a sleeping giant in the Red Raiders. Taj Brooks came back. Brennan Morton threw for over 390. They put a beat down on Arizona State and Sam Levitt. I'm laying the 3.5 with the Red Raiders and potentially. Carver, are you sitting down? I know you're sitting down. Sit down some more. Kneel, bend, get down. You know why? Everybody was on Florida State last week. Oh, discounted number. 5.5. They can't lose to Memphis and Ryan Silverfield. The Billy Club, smash, smash, smash. DJU might not even make it out of the first half. It doesn't matter. Brock Glenn has been playing well in practice. This is a perfect buyback spot. I'm not sold on Cal. I know they're undefeated. They can run the football. That's great. They're going into Tallahassee under the lights. And I talked about Wilcox, 5-13, straight up over the past few years on the road or on a neutral field site. Florida State wakes up in a big way. Double-digit win. I said it. Florida State, my best bet of the week. How about that? Yeah. Go Nationals. Yeah, come on. Come on. Yeah, let's go. What are you going to do?
I don't want anything to do with that game, Joe, to be quite honest with you.
Why?
I don't want anything to do with it. I'll root it in. I'll root it in for you. I'll root it in for you with Florida State. But I'm not playing. I'm not touching the game. I can't.
You don't have the guts. You don't have the guts to play Florida State this week.
You know what? You could call it whatever you want. You want to call it guts. You want to call it smarts. You want to call it whatever.
Moxie.
I don't feel great about taking an 0-3 team. Even and I don't think Cal's great either. I don't like the game, Joe. I'm glad that you love it and it's your favorite.
Are you sitting down?
No.
I have a feeling I could go 7-0. 7-0, 7-0, 7-0. If we don't
Joe,
go
this is where you get yourself in trouble. I think that you should have just gave the picks. You're good to go. I like some of your picks. I'm only against you maybe on one or two of these. But now you got to go take it a little too far. Oh, I got
They
7
get the
and 0.
college
I'm
football
seeing the
and
board
pro
clear.
package
I'm
free.
doing all this.
Absolutely
Joe, recap them
free.
here. NC State plus 18.5. Mississippi State plus 6.5. Utah minus 1.5. USF plus the 16.5. Texas Tech minus the 3.5. FSU minus the 2.5. Who'd I forget, Joe? I missed one.
Utah minus the 1.5.
I got that. I got Utah.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. That's right. Oklahoma.
And USF plus the 16. I'll read them off. USF plus the 16.5. Utah minus the 1.5. Florida State minus the 2.5. NC State plus the 18.5. Oklahoma plus the 6.5. Texas Tech minus the 3.5. And Mississippi State plus the 6.5.
There you go. Joe's picks for week 4. When we come back, I will give mine. And just a few thoughts, Joe, on a few of these that I'm not picking. Texas Tech, Arizona State game. I think it's a fun game. The hook is scary, Joe. I know you want to just, you were praising Dillingham for weeks, and now you're going to drag this guy through the desert. Meanwhile, what a great job, 3-0. Oh, this guy's, you got Sun Devils back. And now what really bothers me about this game the most is this Joey Maguire, he has spit on you so far this year with what he did to you in Pullman, with what he's done. He has done an awful job for you this year, and now you're going to back him. Again,
yes,
you're going back to the well with this guy. Bad juju for you. I don't like this at all. Bad idea by you going to Texas Tech. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio. We're back after this.
Yeah, it's getting cooler. Football weather is here. Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. Football full circle.
Ramondre Stevenson and Hunter Henry are the two best weapons that we see the New England Patriots have. The only way this team is going to develop Drake May is if you surround them with competent weapons. They don't have to be stars, but just guys that can at least run off the secondary, right? We don't see that with this offense. Slow, methodical, and they basically have a base offense, almost like a high school team.
It's football full circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Researchers at the University of Waterloo have created a new smart fabric when made into clothing can convert body heat and solar energy into electricity. Super durable with self-powered embedded sensors that monitor air temperature, automatically keeping you warm. Even Wilder monitors your vital signs, including respiration and body temperature. It even detects hazardous pathogens in the air you breathe. There's just one thing you probably don't want to do wearing your electrically charged pants. Shower in them! Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. No way football is playing in the fall and winter because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
And we're back. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Here on a Friday night with you on the grid. 844-843-6879 is the number. All right. Joe gave you his picks for the college this week. Here I go, Joe, coming off of another 4-3 week and 15-10, as we said, on the season so far. Compiler. We're 3 weeks in, Joe. I don't know what. Compile whatever. Since they actually started playing, we haven't been under 500 in any of those weeks. But yes, compiler. We'll just keep chipping along. All right, Joe. I'll start. I guess I'll go out. I'll start by going after you a couple of times and get those out of the way first, since you've already talked about these games. I love how you think that Utah is just going to stroll right in to Stillwater in their first Big 12 game and just take it to the Cowboys. I mean, that's it. I love this game. You've got the two quarterbacks who are basically older than every starting quarterback in the NFL right now, Rising and Bowman. I agree with you, Joe. I think Bowman stinks. I'm not a fan of his at all. But I think this is an Ollie Gordon show, and I think that the Cowboy defense is going to show up. You're giving me points at home. You know Gundy's playing a little disrespect line this week with his team as well. Welcome to the Big 12, Utah. This is not going to, everybody, Utah's going to win the Big 12 this year. Utah's going to, no. It starts this week, Joe. Oklahoma State, outright, plus the 1.5, whatever you want to do. They will beat Utah at home to start things off. Next, Joe, you wanted to take Oklahoma? That's fine by me. And look, there's things that do bother me, Joe, from a numbers perspective in this game. You know, neither of us ever like being on a team that 89% of the tickets. Nobody likes that. Everybody's on Tennessee this week. I've seen all your dopey numbers about Oklahoma as a home dog in the last 25, 30 years. Blah, 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 blah. This kid Nico is no joke, Joe. Now, they're not going to drop 70 like they've dropped on everybody else this year. But I think 35 is going to be enough. 30 to 40 is going to be enough, Joe, to cover this number comfortably. Tennessee's D hasn't played that bad yet either, and I don't think Oklahoma's offense is any good to go along with it. Vols, -6.5. Heupel, back in Norman on Saturday night, takes care of business. That's pick number 2. Number 3, Joe. You didn't want to go to this game, but I will. USC into Ann Arbor, Saturday afternoon. Same deal, Joe. These are two games. I don't like that I'm on the side with everybody else, but I just don't believe in Michigan. I don't think Michigan's offense is good at all. In fact, Joe, I think Michigan actually will give you a spirited defensive effort against Moss and the Trojans. Problem is, I think USC only needs to score maybe 20 to 27 points, and they'll cover this number comfortably with the 4.5. So I'm going to take the Trojans, Joe. USC, opening Big Ten game for them, going to Ann Arbor. They'll cover the number against the Wolverines. Next, Joe, I'll throw you some curveballs now. How about some totals? You want to get some totals in the mix here, Joe? In fact, I'll go with total in the game that you're in. Miami and USF. I like where you're going, Joe, with the 16.5 with South Florida in this game. They hung around with Alabama for a very long time a couple weeks ago. Everybody's pumping up the U, this, that, and the other. But actually, Joe, no, I'm striking that game off. I found it under. I like
you're nervous.
I'm striking the game off. I was going to take the under in that game, Joe, but I found a game I like the under even more. Mississippi State and Florida under 58.5. You want the Bulldogs, go take the Bulldogs. I think this game's ugly, Joe. I don't see how both of these teams are going to get past the 58.5 points. See, Joe, I was done with my picks so early this week that I had to call audibles in the middle of the picks. That's how many games that I liked this week that I had to shift and move things around up and down the board. Florida and Mississippi State under 58.5. Starkville, low-scoring game. I don't think either offense is that great. They're not going to get up into the 60s. Another total for you, Joe. Arch, starting for Texas with UL Monroe coming in. Now, I don't really want to lay, what is it, Joe, 44.5, 42.5, 44.5. I'm sure they'll cover that. I don't even want to waste my time. I think they'll score over 52.5 by themselves against UL Monroe. And the key for me, Joe, was when the defensive coordinator for UL Monroe opened his mouth this week with all those comments that, well, we got kids on this team that played against Arch in high school, and they beat them. So we're going to be in good shape. Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay. Well, here we go. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. Let the Arch train roll, Joe, all through Austin on Saturday night. Over 52.5 for Texas and UL Monroe. I'll give you another total, Joe. You know I love Cignetti in Indiana and what they've done so far. And they've been good to me covering the spread. But 28.5, Joe, against Biff Poggi might be a little bit more than I want to chew off. Instead, over 49.5, Indiana and Charlotte. Cignetti's been scoring tons of points. Maybe he doesn't cover that number, but I think he gets at minimum, Joe, in the 40s. And I just need Biff to get me maybe a touchdown or 10 points, and I can get over this 49.5. So over 49.5, Indiana and Charlotte. Final one for me, Joe. I'll bark with the dog here. We'll go to Blacksburg. Here we go. Schiano chopping it up with Rutgers into Virginia Tech, taking care of business. Big Ten, ACC. I've watched enough Virginia Tech this year, Joe. They're not any good. Everybody who pumped up Virginia Tech before the season, bad idea. They're not a good football team. Rutgers, hard-nosed, going to play it tight to the vest. Schiano on the road. I'm getting that half, Joe. Maybe Virginia Tech does win this game. Might be a field goal game. 3.5 for Rutgers, Joe, in Blacksburg against the Hokies. I will take my shot with Schiano. So there you go, Joe. USC minus 4.5. Rutgers plus the 3.5. Oak State plus the 1.5. Tennessee minus 6.5. Texas UL Monroe over 52.5. Charlotte, Indiana over 49.5. And Florida, Mississippi State under 58.5. The picks for week 4 on Carver and Lisi for me. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I don't think they're very good because you audibled. So you must be nervous at the line of scrimmage.
Well, I'll tell you why.
You're a little nervous.
I had that game, and I do like the under 64.5 in Miami USF, but I wanted to take it. I liked the Florida Mississippi State under more, and that was a late audible for me. Was going to that.
Yeah, I tell
instead.
You, by 4 o'clock, you're going to know your fate pretty well because the Michigan and Utah games kick off. If you drop both of those, could be tough sledding in the 7 o'clock window.
I'm really, as you could probably tell, I'm really not worried about anything. I've been pretty consistent every week. So 4-3, 4-3, 6-1. You know, I'm not. Haven't been any 2-5s out of me this yet, Joe. Carver and Lisi, we're back after this.
The boys of summer become the champions of fall. The World Series is on its way, and SportsGrid brings you every angle. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime, on the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Football full circle.
Can the Eagles slow down the Saints?
I still like Jalen Hurts in regards to this type of situation. Yep. Crowd noise is going to be off the charts, but I'll take a shot plus 130 on the money line. I think they win the ball game outright. The only thing I can't wrap my head around is can we get over this 49.5? I mean, that's a huge number to get.
It's football full circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families. And you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-647-5419. 800-647-5419. 800-647-5419. Again, that's 800-647-5419.
Days are getting cooler.
The shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means. It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
A Monday warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
We're back. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Great to have you listen on Friday night. We'll do the NFL next hour. Let me just say this to you, Joe, because I see you in the chat trying to say that NC State isn't a public dog. Now, I know we don't believe the numbers ever. You're never going to believe anything that gets said here. According to a few books, BetMGM has 77% of the bets are on NC State. for this game. Just checked another book. 74% of the bets on NC State. People like NC State this week, Joe. They're seeing a fat number. They're seeing a Clemson team that hasn't played very well. So you are, as much as you don't like it and you try to avoid it, you are with the people this week, Joe. So get used to it. You're with the people.
It depends on where you go for your information. And again, I don't choose to go to the books for my information because their job is to take your money. I'll tell you my numbers that I see, out there. And this is just, regular schmoes and, stuff like that. I have multiple numbers on the game, okay? And let me see. Let me just get it updated. Let me just see here. See where we're at, right? So let me just see here. Hang on. Scrolling down. All right. Let me see. So let's see. I got one that shows Clemson 64%. Okay. I got another one that's had, and this is the one that I trust the most, okay, that has Clemson. Hang on.
Keep looking for the one that you want. I know you're passing all the ones like I gave you, and you're looking for the one.
No, I don't go to the books. I don't look at the books in any regard. They can put out any information they want. I'm not believing it. Their job is to take your money. And again, people think they're doing us a favor. I refuse to look at that information that comes out of the sports book. As far as I'm concerned, they're snake oil salesmen. So I have basically 68%.
I'm never gonna back a book over you. Obviously, I mean, I'm looking to smash them as well. But
yeah, but again, they're telling you numbers again, and I said this, tons of times. Why don't you show us where the money is? I mean, it's no big deal if all they're doing is taking bank, right? They don't have a vested interest. They're just collecting the money, right? Show us where the money is. Then what's the problem? Why is it such a big deal? Where's the transparency?
I don't disagree with you.
That's what I'm saying.
But there's a lot of people betting NC State this week. It's okay, Joe. You can be on that side once in a while.
Yeah, because I'll tell you why I don't believe it. It's starting a freshman quarterback. And I certainly don't believe it because those people, here's the thing. Everybody got smashed, when they bet App State against Clemson because App State was the public dog. And everybody took App State plus the 16.5 and smashed Billy Club. Bam! Bam! What was it, 56-0, Cade Klubnik? How much? You want another one? Bam! You want the tire iron? Bam! 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 And I was on Clemson. I was laughing. How much you want, Joey Aguiar? You want 20? You want 30? So those people, that got smashed are then not going to take all of a sudden NC State. Okay? Think of it. It's psychological, right? So I don't believe the numbers. They could tell me anything they want. The Lisi number says the public is on Clemson. How about
that?
All right,
Joe. All right, let's rapid fire a few things here, and then I'll probably have to finish these after we come back and at least start the second hour with a few of these. Let me run through a bunch here. You give James Madison any chance in Chapel Hill getting 10.5?
Who? I didn't hear you.
James Madison plus 10.5 in North Carolina.
I'm really not sold on North Carolina, Mac Brown, but they have Duke on deck. They'll probably smash James Madison this week.
No, they won't. Ohio State minus the 39.5.
I'm willing to take it. I'm willing to take the points with Marshall, but I don't love it.
You don't love it. Kentucky minus 19.5 against Ohio.
Yeah, I think Kentucky should, even though it's a letdown spot because they went toe-to-toe with Georgia, I'm not sold on Ohio being very good. Go ahead.
All right, I'll give you a couple more before we start the NFL when we come back. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM 159. We're back after this.
Fall is here.
It's getting cooler.
Football and the World Series are coming in. Life is good.
SportsGrid makes it better.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Purdue University physicists have opened the world's first quantum disco with the world's tiniest disco ball. And by tiny, I mean a disco ball 1/100th the width of a human hair, made of glowing fluorescent nanodiamonds levitating inside a pure vacuum, spinning 1.2 billion times per minute. The point? Not to improve your platform shoe disco finger, but to simulate what happens to qubits inside a quantum computer. Computing power that could be 150 billion times faster than yesterday's supercomputer. And that's a lot cooler than John Travolta doing the funky chicken. Follow me at Chicapalvo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channel dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
When the weather cools off,
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up. Sit tight. The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information to give you the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Please welcome.
It's the opening kickoff with Carver and Lisi.
All right, here we go. Carver and Lisi with you. SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159. Great to have you with us here on the grid. 844-843-6879 is the number. We'll do all the NFL preview and picks this hour. I do need to finish up a couple of college things quickly, and then we will get to them. Mike Carver and the Encyclopedia of College Football, the one, the only. Go for the two, Joe Lisi. Hi, Joe.
Kiss the ring. That's what you're going to be doing this weekend when I bash you with the college and pro picks. Kiss the ring. I'm ready.
Joe.
Don't shake your head.
You
Don't
keep
shake
saying
your head.
that, but it's the other way every week. You keep saying that, but every week it ends up the other way.
I'm coming out. This is it. Vengeance Saturday.
I don't need all the glitz and the glamour. I just keep plugging along and just doing what I'm doing. And you're
a compiler. You're compiling. That's it. Give them 3 hours.
You want to know what I've been compiling so far, Joe? Winning weeks.
Wins go into the
winning weeks.
Into the
I've been compiling.
Go into the window.
You're right. I have been compiling, at least in our college football picks. Winning weeks, I've been compiling. Every week.
So what am I? 13 and 12. 13 and 12. 52%. What about you?
You're 500.
It's early. It's 500. We're entering week 4. Come on.
You're calling me, well, if you're going to call me a compiler after 3 weeks, then I can call you whatever I want after 3 weeks.
Come on. I told you. I come from the line of 2 Kentucky Derby winners. I told you I'm built for this. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
I guess you're going to, here's another team that you always love throwing your money away on. You're going to lay this 21.5 with LSU against UCLA on Saturday afternoon.
24 and a half, isn't it now?
I have 21.5 right now, this second in my hand.
I don't like the game, to be honest with you. It wouldn't shock me if UCLA, after getting abused last week, comes to play in terms of this matchup. They beat LSU back in 2019. That's a huge number for them. 21. It dropped 3 points from midweek. I reluctantly would lay it, but it wouldn't shock me if UCLA comes to play. I did take Garrett Nussmeier. I did take Nussmeier over 294.5 passing, though.
Yeah, I can't bet college player props, so I don't care. Minus 10.5, Louisville at home against Georgia Tech.
A lot of mushes are on G-Tech. I was asked this game at the start of the week, and I said G-Tech, and I have to stick with it, but I don't love it. Too many mushes, so that must mean Louisville's going to boat race them. Probably.
Beat up spot for Franklin, 48.5 against Kent State. I mean, that's a lot of wood for Franklin there.
They have, Carver, they haven't covered against their last two MAC opponents. Bowling Green was one this year, and Central Michigan before that. They had won those MAC games by like 38 points per game. So this is like double that. I mean, like the last line they laid with Bowling Green was, what, 34.5? They probably smashed them. Smashed them.
Notre Dame's laying 27.5 against Miami of Ohio. As I said to you, I'm not playing the game, but you'd like to think they learned their lesson 2 weeks ago, and they'll actually take it seriously.
Yeah, but Miami O plays like methodical. So, again, this plays right into how Notre Dame wants to play. I probably would take the 27.5.
I saw you shaking your head when I was making my pick. Are you trying to say you like Virginia Tech, minus 3.5 at home against Rutgers?
Yeah, I think you're dead. I think you're dead wrong. I think Virginia Tech learned their lesson. Yeah, I think it's a Billy Club special. I think they come to play and knock around Rutgers this weekend.
The next member of the Pac-12, Memphis, laying 9.5 at Navy.
Everybody's on Navy. I picked Memphis to go to the college football playoff. I got to stick with it. I would lay the 9.5. I think they match up well. Well, we have don't we have a ticket? Don't we have a big ticket with them?
Yeah, but I think you put Florida State in there. You ruined that ticket for us, so we're not going to have that.
I never know. They get off the mat this week. They can go on a heater.
Sure. TCU minus 2.5 at SMU with a 59.5 total. I don't love that.
I like SMU in a bounce back spot there.
Northwestern going to Washington, getting 11.5. I kind of like Northwestern getting the 11.5, Joe.
A lot of people are on Northwestern. They are not built with Michael Wright.
There's mushes on every game, Joe. There's mushes on every game. I mean, what do you want to do?
I would lay it with Washington because I think their offense is more open and lethal. And in order for Northwestern to cover that line, they got to play very well, which I don't think they can do.
Always one of your favorite games of the year. Iowa and Minnesota with a 35.5 total.
I'm not even betting this game. I want, my heart says take Minnesota. They got the victory last year. That was the Cooper DeJean punt. Did he call the fair catch? Didn't he call the fair catch? Give me the boat. Give me the boat. I'm rowing the boat. I want to be part of the oars. I want to row it. Row the boat. I hate Iowa.
Yeah,
Iowa sucks.
I know. You got to you see, that's personal with you. That's not like a real cap. It's personal. Anything with Iowa.
What do you mean it's not a real cap?
Not a real cap. It's not a real cap. The Fighting Bluets minus 6.5 at home against Michigan State with a 45.5.
Now this isn't a real cap. This isn't a real cap because Castellanos, I laid 6.5 in game with Missouri, and he cost me a lot of money. I laid 6.5, and he got that backdoor cover with the touchdown with 3 minutes left. I wanted to jump through the screen. So by principle play, give me the 6.5 with Sparty. I hope they smashed him. I'm not betting it, but I hope they get smashed.
Big 12 opener for Dion in Colorado. They have Baylor coming in Aranda. Minus 1.5 and 51.5. I kind of like the over, Joe.
I'm going to lay it. Here's the thing. Daquan Finn and that defense came to play, but I just think, this is a game. I think speed kills, and I think Baylor gets abused over the top.
The bottom line is, as long as they're healthy, in a game like this, say what you want about him. If Shador and Travis Hunter are playing, Joe, they're the two best players on the field, no matter what. And with Hunter, he's the best player on the field, both sides of the ball. So
and everybody's getting a little too hot on this Baylor team. I was on Baylor. Let's not forget
they
against
burned you
Utah.
last week. So again, personal.
What do you mean? They weren't on. I wasn't on them last week.
You were on Air Force.
Oh, that's right.
You were on Air Force last week.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Utah game.
Baylor stuffed it up them in the second half, and you got all mad about that. So yeah. So you personal. Purdue heads to Corvallis. I'm almost done. -3.5. The Beavers.
Love the
I think the Beavers. I love the Beavers.
Yeah, splash. You see those unis I sent you? Do you see what they're wearing? They're gonna smash Hudson Card.
Last one,
Should we
Joe.
take the over?
Tricky game. Kansas State going to BYU. The late night bailout blowout. 10:30 East kick. And the Wildcats are laying 6.5.
I love BYU in that. Can we get the over there?
I knew it. I knew you'd be on BYU. I knew it. I had to get that in. Let me see.
Why?
87% of the bets on Kansas State. 85% of the money. Yeah, everybody.
Those numbers are right. Those numbers
spot. The whole world loves the ranked team, Kansas State, on the road. Late night game, and Joe's going to back Kalani Sitake, who he always drags. He's going to back him late night against Kansas State. I cannot believe what I am hearing, but I actually do believe it. All right, we start the NFL preview and the picks when we come back. Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, on the grid, Sirius XM 159. We're back after this.
Don't look like an idiot at work.
Know your stuff.
Football and everything else. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Researchers at the University of Waterloo have created a new smart fabric when made into clothing can convert body heat and solar energy into electricity. Super durable with self-powered embedded sensors that monitor air temperature, automatically keeping you warm. Even Wilder monitors your vital signs, including respiration and body temperature. It even detects hazardous pathogens in the air you breathe. There's just one thing you probably don't want to do wearing your electrically charged pants. Shower in them! Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime, on the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Carver and Lisi.
Not only that, but what happened? I heard Roy from Nebraska wanted to call in last night.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm Roy
from
Nebraska.
What does it matter if I know it's you?
Because then you prepare yourself. When you think it's Roy from Nebraska.
Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Prepare myself for what?
For the rant that I'm going to club you with.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. No way football is played in the fall and winter because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159. Great to have you with us here on the grid as we're getting ready for the football weekend. Let's start the NFL, Joe. We've already just talked earlier about the Jets and the Patriots, absolute snoozer of a Thursday night game. So let's not try to bore ourselves any longer with that. Let's get to the games on Sunday. Honestly, Joe, there's a few very interesting games here on the card this week. But I guess the one that has, if you want to say the most sizzle, and on prime time, I know, Matthias, the Falcons and the Chiefs has more sizzle than anything else that's on the menu. I get it. I
Let's
know.
go, baby.
But we'll get to that eventually. It's got to be, Joe, right? This big Raven Cowboy game in Jerry's world at 425, because you have the Ravens who have started 0-2. You have the Cowboys who have gotten their doors blown off the last 2 times they've been at home. Packer playoff game. Saints last Sunday, they're 1-1. You have the Ravens as a very small 1.5-point road favorite here in this spot. You got a total in the mid-40s. Very, very interesting game, Joe, for both sides.
It is, but, I go back to the thing in regards to the Ravens. I'm just not sold on an offensive identity. And again, if they fall from behind, just like they have in the playoffs, and more importantly, last week in the overtime against Gardner Minshew in Las Vegas, I just don't believe in their passing attack. I believe in Lamar. I just don't believe in the passing attack as a whole. I think that's the Achilles heel. And until they change that, I'll take Dallas. Again, Dallas at home. I believe in CD. I believe in Dallas to bounce back in a bigger way than Baltimore to try and figure it out on the road. I just don't buy it. So give me Dallas in regards to the matchup.
I'm not going to lie to you, Joe. We don't get this very often. I'm with you on this game. I like Dallas here at home this week against Baltimore. Short home dog. A lot of people are on the Ravens. I'm sure that's factored into some of the things that you have decided to. And Joe loves when they throw stats at you all week. And I think the one, Joe, that I've seen, I can't, more times than I can count, is Lamar 20-1 straight up against the NFC. I've seen that thrown around all week long. 20-1 against the NFC. That's kind of that's a weird one, Joe. I don't put much stock. He plays 4 or 5 NFC teams a year. It is what it is. That's not, I don't know. It's just not a true sample size. It's not like he's played the Cowboys this many times. It's more, it doesn't matter to me, but everybody keeps throwing it around, so God bless them. I'm with you, Joe. Cowboys for me, and the Ravens falling to 0-3. So I'm with you with that. Pair of 2-0 teams in Minnesota, Texans and Vikings. This has actually gone down a touch here, Joe. It was 2.5 this afternoon on Coast to Coast. It's 1.5 for the Texans now. 45.5 is the total. I'm guessing, Joe, there's a combination of two things there that move that number down. It doesn't sound like Mixon's going to play on the Houston side. And there is no injury designation for Jefferson. He's going to play on the Minnesota side. What do you think here, Joe, up at Mini this Sunday?
Again, I think you're going to start to see slight regression from Darnold. Again, he's playing well within the scheme. They got the rushing attack with Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler down. But again, I believe in C.J. Stroud. And we go to weapons, right? Yeah, Justin Jefferson is out there. But you have a multitude of weapons, even if Mixon is hurt in this matchup. Schultz, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, throw in, Xavier Hutchinson. I mean, it's Stephon Diggs. I mean, come on. I think, and I believe in D'Amico Ryans on the road to find a way to force turnovers over Darno. Sam Darno? Are we talking about Darno? Sam Darno? So give me the Texans. I will say, part of me thinks that we could get this game into the high 40s, 50s, because I think we can get turnovers. But again, I don't love it.
Yeah, and Mixon officially listed as doubtful, by the way, on the injury report on Friday. I don't know, Joe. I came away not impressed by the Texans on Sunday night against the Bears. And I know it's one game. We've only played 2 games. I was not very impressed with their offense in that game. Now, are you doing anything with the Diggs returns to Minnesota angle? Because he didn't play in Minnesota with the Bills. He never played in Minnesota. So this is actually his first time back in Minnesota, despite it being 5 years or so since being there.
Yeah, I mean, do I put weight into that? I mean, again, I think.
You play him for a touchdown? You want to play him for a touchdown? Because he seems like the kind of guy who's going to walk around all week and whisper in Stroud's ear, "I really want to score here on Sunday."
All right. I mean, what do you think he is, though? Have you looked at a number? Is it plus money, or is it? I'm sure he's minus. He's.
I saw 170 this week. I saw 170
plus
for him.
Or minus
plus 170, Joe. Plus 170. Plus 165 now.
All right. So then there you go. I would take a shot. I mean, it's not the first guy I want to go to the window with the touchdown scores this week. I have a couple other guys I think I can go to the window that have better options in regards to the NFL. But I mean, you want to take a shot. It could be something I'm in with.
Could be something that you're in with. Let's do a game that's only going to take you less than a minute to talk about. Broncos Bucks. You got anything there? In on the Broncos and Bucks this week?
You know how I am about the Bucks, right? I believe they're the best team in the division. I'll give you all the credit. You turned me back onto Baker when he was with the Rams, and I'm a buyer now because of what he did last year. The kid's gutty and has quality playoff wins. I think this is a game they win, but I'm willing to take Knicks and Denver somehow, some way to cover the 6.5. I think this is a higher scoring game. I do. I think we get 40.5.
I like the over. I like the over better than taking a side, Joe. I don't think I want to. I don't want to take Denver.
I like Denver. I like that, but I think we sail through. But again, this is another total. Like, even if if they're going to throw it 30 times a game, turnovers.
Yeah. Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM 159. We're back after this.
And SportsGrid has you covered with strategies and info on football, baseball, and everything else. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1939, the Brown bomber Joe Louis KOs Bob Pastor in 11 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1973, Billie Jean King beats Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes tennis match. And in 1987, Sweetness Walter Payton scores his NFL record 107th rushing touchdown. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-365-6303. 800-365-6303. 800-365-6303. That's 800-365-6303.
When the weather cools off,
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up. Sit tight. The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information to give you the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
And we're back. Carver and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159. Great to have you with us here on the grid. 844-843-6879 is the number. Great to have everybody with us here tonight. All right, Joe. Few other things here. There's a long home run for Julio Rodriguez. Jeez.
What happened in this Nebraska game here? We got a penalty? What happened here? You watching this game?
I'm not. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not watching.
It was 10-10. We were on a good
watch
pace.
It after we finish. I'll watch it after
you're going to watch. What are you going to watch? You're going to watch the highlights?
No, I'm going to watch the second half when we finish, is what I'm going to do.
10-10. They're driving again. They're driving again, the Illini, on the Nebraska 33. Can we get some points? This Altmaier's killing me. He lost 2 yards on a rush. I need him 7 yards. Get up the field.
Lions into Arizona against the Cardinals.
I already. Yeah. Don't even talk about this. This is.
Then I'll save it.
Triple diamond. Smash your bookie.
Leave it. You picking the Bear? I'm picking that game. I'm picking that game.
You're picking every game. What game? What game aren't you picking?
Carolina and the Raiders. You on that?
No.
All right.
I think
Panthers.
they're
going back to 5. Gone back to 6.5 now, Joe.
The Red Rocket. They are going to smash him every which way but Sunday. Max Crosby could have 4 sacks in that game. He is. You know where the Red Rocket's going. No pocket break. They are going to batter him so much. And I hope people start recognizing how good this Raider team is. I said it. I have the 320 ticket on them to make the playoffs. Not you, Carver. Certainly not Mammoth Hops. Shout out, Hops. I hear you, brother. No, I have the Raiders. They're going to smash the Panthers.
You have the Raiders, Joe. You have the Raiders.
Yep.
You have them.
That's it.
Joe's all gassed up.
What
Joe's
happened?
all fired up.
What happened? I'm reading in the chat. Did Nebraska return an interception? And
Joe,
they called it
I'm
back?
doing the show. I'm not watching the game.
I'm doing the show too.
I'm sorry. I'm not watching the game. I don't know what's
This
going on.
Altmaier, this kid, he's got to get me 4 yards on the ground. Sam Darnold.
That's it, just 4?
There you go. Yeah, but the sacks, you always got to worry about the sacks. Count those rushing yards. What? Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold? What else do I have for you here, Joe? How about this Packer-Titan game? Are you getting involved in that?
No.
Look, I think, Joe, until I know for sure, and I don't think Love's going to play, I think this is 2 weeks in a row that LaFleur's played a little rope-a-dope here. Sends him out there with the pads on, says he's questionable. Then he'll do the same thing he did last week. He'll drop him to doubtful tomorrow so he doesn't get in trouble. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull the same thing they did last week with the Colts, which is not throw the ball and just try to run it down the Titans' throat. I think there's a lot of pressure on Will Levis this week. He's had 2 awful weeks, and I think he can feel it, that if he loses this game, he might be out, and they'll put Mason Rudolph in. Lots of desperation here for Tennessee at home, and I think the line's telling you too, Joe, with the Titans being favored by 2.5.
Yeah, again, I love ain't playing, right? You're right about that, but I still believe in LaFleur, and I believe in the offensive line to grind out another game. I think this is a dead under again, and I just have more confidence in LaFleur and whoever plays quarterback than I do in Will Levis. And I got to be honest, I know you said Ridley stepped up, but you're not getting anything outside. D-Hop isn't giving you anything. Levis is mobile, but he's turnover prone, and there's pressure on this team. I mean, I feel like there's no pressure on Green Bay. They're playing fast and loose, and I know that's a term, faster, but they don't look like they're phased. I mean, that defense shut down AR last week. They forced turnovers against him. You don't think they can force turnovers against Levis? I like them outright.
Fast and loose. Fast and loose for you, Joe. You always love when they play fast and loose. Heading
into
the
field goal, this Illini. What happened? He missed it.
Who missed it, Joe? Who missed the field goal?
I don't know. They were on the 30. We don't have a kicker. What happened? It was 3rd and 8. What happened here?
3rd and 8. Unbelievable.
I need 23 points and 4. Oh, man.
We will come back and do the Carver and Lisi NFL picks for week number 3 next on the grid. It's Carver and Lisi on SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. We'll come back, do the picks next on the grid.
Yeah, it's getting cooler. Football weather is here. Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. Kaplan and Crew.
When I see lazy work on ESPN, I can't take it. You know who they had as the game of the night? The Yankees and the Mariners. A game that ended 11-3, I think. Listen, man, if you want to show your East Coast bias, and I know a lot of people may not care about this, but I do. If you want to show your East Coast bias, just come on the show and say, hey, in New York, if y'all were asleep last night, this is what happened to the Yankees.
It's Kaplan and Crew with Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Fall is almost here. It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
And we're back. Carver and Lisi Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Great to have you with us here on the grid, 844-843. All right, Joe. The Carver and Lisi NFL selections for week number 3. Neither of us great so far, let's be fair. 2-2 for you last week to get to 3-5 on the season.
It's not bad.
1-3 for me last week to get to 3-5 on the season. So both of us 3-5 after 2 weeks.
I feel good this week.
Which is super unfortunate. So we need to start to turn that around here, Joe, as we head into late September and the 3rd week of the season. So, Joe, the floor is yours. The Carver and Lisi NFL selection for week number 3.
All right, let's start off in Indianapolis. All right, we know about Caleb Williams. We know about the inefficiencies in regards to that offense. It's back-to-back road games, right? Chicago back on the road, catching 1.5 against the Colts. Colts did not look good. They were a public side going up against Green Bay last week. AR did not look good. They only put up 10 points. Coming back home, I think this is a heavy dose of the rushing attack. I think AR gets involved on the ground, Carver. But more importantly, I just believe in Shane Steichen. I think he's a better head coach than Matt Eberflus. I'm certainly not sold on Caleb Williams and that offense. You know how I felt, talked about it all offseason. Now they're starting to see some rumblings. There's maybe some nervousness setting in regards to the offense. I heard Polk and Polk's family starting to call out Caleb Williams in regards to not, showing open looks to Aduze. Excuse me, I said Polk. Aduze in that lineup. I think that could be a factor for this team. I don't think Caleb Williams, and I never thought, was NFL ready to begin with. Give me the Colts. I think they grind out a victory. I think it's a lot of Jonathan Taylor and the physical offensive line laying 1.5. I think the Colts beat them up bad, 10 points or more. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2, we talked about Arizona, right? And I was wrong last week in regards to taking the Rams. They jumped up early. We saw the emergence of Marvin Harrison Jr., 4 receptions, $130 and 2 touchdowns in regards to that matchup. And we saw that Tampa Bay knocked off Detroit Now Detroit goes on the road. That's a different animal. You know, we knew about the offensive line issues for LA. They got abused in regards to that. This is a heavy dose of Jahmyr Gibbs, heavy dose of David Montgomery. I think Detroit absolutely smacks Arizona on the road. It might be close for a half. Second half, I think they pull away 10, 13, whatever you want. I think 3 is generous in regards to giving you a gift in regards to Detroit laying the 3. Everybody buying into Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. They're not complete, and Gannon's good. He's not great. Dan Campbell's a much better head coach. I got 2 totals for you. I'm getting a point discount. Everybody's raving about Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, right? They're running the football. J.K. Dobbins, Justin Herbert with the boot. I don't care if Justin Herbert plays or not. More complete team in this game is Justin Fields and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Steelers win, but I'm going to tell you this. Guess who breaks out this weekend? The passing attack of Pittsburgh. I know that LA State and Carolina, this line opened up at 36. It's down to 34.5. Up, and away. Give me those points. This is a party over, baby. Over LA and Pittsburgh, the 34.5. And then we're going to go to the night game. I know Atlanta bounced back in a big way. I was ready to call them gutless. But we saw a little continuity from Kirk Cousins on Monday night. He stepped up. Bijan Robinson got involved in regards to the rushing attack. Fast track. Here comes Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. How about sprinkle in some Travis Kelce? I don't care who scores. Just give me points. 46.5 on a fast track? Are you kidding me? 50, 55, 60. Him. Alt it up. That's the game. That's it. Totals. 2 totals. Pittsburgh and LA over the 34.5. KC and Atlanta over the 46.5. I like Detroit minus the 3 and Indianapolis minus the 1.5. Your 4 picks for NFL Sunday, Guy.
Wow. Now, I thought there for a moment, I thought you were going to go after Matthias there for a moment when you started talking up Rashee Rice and I thought you were going to drop the hammer on Matthias to finish off the segment. Matthias,
scared.
I don't have enough time, so I'll do mine when we come back to get through all 4 of mine. So go ahead, Matthias. Give me the Falcon path to victory here on Sunday night against the Kansas
Let's hear this.
We're going to run it. We're going to run it right down your throat, Lisi. That's what we're going to do. Bijan and a little bit of Tyler Algier. Thunder and lightning, baby. Drake London keeps getting in the end zone after his Monday Night Football celebration and that touchdown. Kirk Cousins needs to go interceptionless if the Falcons want to win this game. I told you guys last week, if Kirk Cousins doesn't throw an interception, they're going to beat the Eagles. And you know what? He didn't throw an interception, and the Falcons won. I see something similar coming this way. And you know what? A big reason why the Falcons are going to win this game is because they're going to stop the run. They're going to stuff Steele. They're going to drop Perrine. And you know what? Kareem Hunt ain't playing. So I'm not worried about that rushing attack. And they're going to bottle up Kelsey, Joe. It's not a homer pick, Joe. We're going to bring the pressure in this game, Joe.
You got no shot. You got no shot, Joe. I know. What about Judon?
You should fly out, Joe. Get yourself a meal. Get yourself a meal, Joe. Get yourself some hot dogs. Get yourself some chips. He'll get to the quarterback, Joe. He's got a sack in each game, Joe.
Darnell Mooney was your big play threat over the top. Darnell, old man Mooney, that couldn't do anything in Chicago. All of a sudden, they scraped him up from the ground to get a 41-yard reception on Monday night. I don't know who's worse, Vic Fangio or Eberflus. It doesn't matter because your team's going nowhere, okay? Just score 24 points for me so I can get the over. That's all I care about.
You know what, Joe? It's going to be a tough over, Joe. I see this being 21-17, something like that. It is what it is. We got 2 good defenses. 21-17, right around there, 24-21.
What are you talking about? What defense? A Judon? Oh, yeah, all of a sudden, what? The Dirty Birds now all of a sudden have an elite secondary? Who's back there? What are we doing? We're playing bump and run with Dion back in the day? Jeff George is your quarterback? I mean, come on. What do we have? Andre Rison on the outside? I mean, what do you think? This is the heydays of the 90s? You leaving tickets for Elvis with Jerry Glanville? I mean, come on. You don't even know what I'm talking about. You don't even know what I'm talking about. You know who Jerry Glanville is?
Of course I do, Joe. Come on, Joe. What do you think? I'm some stiff? Come on.
Leave some tickets for Elvis.
I do have Kyle Pitts on the touchdown sheet this week at plus 220. I do have Kyle Pitts on there.
We should do that after you do your picks. I got the touchdown sheet for the anytime touchdowns myself.
Oh, do you? Oh, you're in the mix now with the touchdown sheet. Okay, so
I
after
do
my
them
picks,
every day. Maybe I haven't heard. I'm on the show Pro Football Today every Sunday on SportsGrid.
You're part of the NFL syndicate. You, Donnie, and KW. Monday nights, Thursday nights, Sundays. You guys are it's the NFL syndicate show that we've got here. So, all right, so then I'll do I'll save the touchdowns, Joe, and I'll do them after. So we'll come back. The Charger Steeler game, Joe. I had it on the card. When it went to 3 now, I don't like it anymore. So when it was 1.5, I got it earlier in the week. For our picks, I'm not taking it. I think the Steelers win, Joe. I think with Herbert being knocked around a bit, high ankle sprain, that's a bad thing when TJ Watt's running after you. I don't think J.K. Dobbins is going to be able to run for $150 against that Steeler D. And Fields finally connects with Pickens on a big play this week, and it's not going to get called back for a penalty. I like the Steelers a lot, Joe. I mean, I don't want to take it at 3 with the.
Can we get over this 34 in the hook? You know, you liked it.
Why not?
You liked it there.
Why not? No, you could get over the 34.5. I'll root it in for you. I don't mind some points in this game. That'll be just fine.
I think Pharrell told me he's going to the game.
He is going to the game. Pharrell's going to the game on Sunday, so he will be there. He's in one of, I forget which end zone he's in, but he's in. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. We'll come back. I'll give my NFL picks, and then me and Joe both have touchdowns for Sunday. So we'll do that, too. Next on the grid.
Kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you.
The boys of summer become the champions of fall. The World Series is on its way, and SportsGrid brings you every angle. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1939, the Brown bomber Joe Louis KOs Bob Pastor in 11 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1973, Billie Jean King beats Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes tennis match. And in 1987, Sweetness Walter Payton scores his NFL record 107th rushing touchdown. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
Carver and Lisi.
Not only that, but what happened? I heard Roy from Nebraska wanted to call in last night.
I'm not sure what that is.
I'm Roy from Nebraska.
What does it matter if I know it's you?
Because then you prepare yourself. When you think it's Roy from Nebraska.
Prepare myself.
Yeah.
Prepare myself for what?
For the rant that I'm going to club you with.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Researchers at the University of Waterloo have created a new smart fabric when made into clothing can convert body heat and solar energy into electricity. Super durable with self-powered embedded sensors that monitor air temperature, automatically keeping you warm. Even Wilder monitors your vital signs, including respiration and body temperature. It even detects hazardous pathogens in the air you breathe. There's just one thing you probably don't want to do wearing your electrically charged pants. Shower in them! Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
No way football is played in the fall and winter because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Carver and and Lisi, Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM, channel 159. Great to have everybody with us here. All right, Joe, my turn now. You ready to go? Joe, all right there? You ready, Joe? Here we go.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the uniform swag for Saturday. You know how I love the swag.
I know you're very concerned about what everyone's wearing,
how it looks on the screen. What is BYU? You know, BYU going retro jerseys, 1996 circa Steve Sarkisian.
There's not that much difference between those and some of the other ones.
All right. Come on, Hero. Let me hear them.
All right, Joe. My turn here now for the NFL. Let's go. I'll start with the one that we're on the same. So I think this is 2 weeks in a row, Joe. We're on. We got one same pick, but I don't want to get off of it. As much as I don't like having the same pick as you, I feel too strongly about it, Joe, and I have to go with it. I think that the Colts being 0-2, going home, I've seen nothing out of that Bear offense that makes me think they're going to go in there and be able to score. Now, I think the Bear D is pretty good, Joe. You know, they won them that game in week 1 against Tennessee. They played pretty good against Houston Sunday night last week on the road. But I think that Richardson's going to be able to do some things, both with his legs and with his arm, just enough. And it's not going to be a blowout, Joe. This is probably going to be sweaty for us down at the end of the fourth quarter. But it's really 1.5. They just got to win the game for the most part, unless something stupid happens. Colts, for me, Joe, win this football game by at least 3. Might be a field goal. Hopefully it's a touchdown or more, but I'm going to go with you on the Colts. So a checker on a checker there for us with the Colts minus 1.5 this week for that. Next, Joe, I'm going to go to Cleveland. And I can't believe that I'm doing this to myself, but the G-Men, Big Blue getting 6.5 on the road. I didn't think they played that bad last week, Joe, offensively. You know, Jones moved the football. Neighbors was heavily involved. I know the Brown D is going to be a lot better than the Washington D that they faced a week ago, but I think the Giants, with the point, I don't think they win, but 6.5's a lot, especially with Deshaun Watson and the Browns. I got Myles Garrett, who's walking around this week telling everybody that his feet hurt and that he's not 100%. I think you got issues there. I think that the Giants are going to give you a spirited effort. They're feeling the pressure. Dable's feeling the pressure. Everybody's feeling pressure. They're playing the Cowboys Thursday night. That ain't going to be, they need a big performance, Joe. Might not win, but 6.5, I'm going to take with the Giants on the road in Cleveland. Are you shaking your head because you like the pick, or are you shaking your head because you think I'm stupid?
It almost made my card. It almost made, we were almost in agreement on that, so I took it off.
Next one for me, and I know you're not going to be in agreement with me on this, but you might actually. I think the other night you told me that you kind of like this a little bit. I think that Miami, with some extra rest, McDaniel is going to have Skylar Thompson prepared enough that they could score a few points against Seattle. I don't think Seattle's that great, Joe. They've beaten Denver. They've beaten New England. Really had to scratch and claw to beat both of those teams. So I don't think of all the 2-0 teams, I don't find Seattle very impressive compared to the rest of them. This is a long trip for Miami. I understand that. But I think that D is good enough to hold Geno and the crew down. I don't care that DK Metcalf says the offense is going to bust out. And I think that you'll get enough out of the Miami offense, despite no Tua, that they will hang around in this game. Same thing, Joe, as the Giants. Maybe not win it, but 4.5, I think, is a nice number for them in what could be a very close, low-scoring type of grinded-out game. I'll take the Fish, Joe, with pick number 3, plus 4.5 in Seattle. And my final one, like I said, took the Steelers out this afternoon because I knew I wasn't getting 1.5 anymore.
Right.
And I didn't want to take 3 for the picks. I'm going to go to Dallas, Joe. And I'm actually going to take the total. I told you I'm with you. I think that the Cowboys are going to win this game. But this total's at 47.5. Cowboys have blown through 47.5 in both of their games so far. The Ravens blew through 47.5 in one game, and we're right at 47 in the other. So they've been all right around this number, and most of it over. I think we get points between these two, no matter what the outcome's going to be. I think that both teams are going to get into the 20s, mid-20s, high 20s, right there. I think we'll get ourselves a fun game in the late window on Sunday. Over 47.5, Cowboys and the Ravens, late window Sunday. So the over in the Cowboy-Raven game,
right?
Giants plus 6.5, Indy minus 1.5, Dolphins plus 4.5. Joe, give me your thoughts on that over that I have.
I mean, I like the card. I like the over in the Cowboy game because, again, if you're Dallas, don't you want to push tempo? Don't you want to force Lamar to play from behind? So, I mean, again, they couldn't do that with New Orleans last week. So I'm with you. Again, the only thing that scares me with Miami, right, is they can't stop the run so far.
Yeah.
So, going on
Walker's
the road.
going to be out again. Charbonnet stinks.
but
I know that you love this guy, Charbonnet. He's no good. I mean, Walker's not playing. He's not going to be in the
Let
game.
me ask you this, because I toggle with this too. Is there any way this could be a smash over? Like, I like the over, 42.5. Here's the thing. You got to, okay, with Skylar Thompson in, you have to dial up plays for Waddle and Hill, don't you? Bubble screen, you got to get them the ball. They didn't do it against Buffalo. You can't have Janu Smith as your number one option in this game.
I think there's a big difference from Tua getting hurt in the middle of a game and throwing Thompson out there without the proper prep than him having 10-plus days to have Skylar Thompson ready, prepped with the right screens and all the things you're talking about to make sure those guys get.
But with Tua, they weren't utilizing Jalen and Tyreek.
Well, he's throwing
and
it
I understand.
down the field. So.
I mean, come on. They didn't have any design, like, real plays for them. It was Janu Smith was the number one option with Achane running the football.
Well, you give the defense a little credit in that game, Joe. You give the D some credit in that game.
Carver, I do give the D. Obviously, it was a dynamic effort, 3 interceptions. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying to you is you didn't see any one-on-one opportunities, Tyreek with a corner. I didn't see that the whole game, okay? Even when Thompson was in. So, yes, Thompson now has 10 days to prepare. If I'm Mike McDaniel, don't you want to go down with your best options? I mean, if I'm going to go down with the boat with Skylar Thompson, I'm going to go down with Skylar Thompson throwing a Waddle and throwing the Hill, not Janu Smith.
Part of my look at this game, Joe, is that he has built all this stuff in to make sure that Skylar Thompson's getting those guys. That's why I like the over.
I'm thinking about making this a best bet on the show. I'm toggling with it.
We'll do the tutties when we come back. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, right after this.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1939, the Brown Bomber Joe Louis KOs Bob Pastor in 11 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1973, Billie Jean King beats Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes tennis match. And in 1987, Sweetness Walter Payton scores his NFL record 107th rushing touchdown. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
Are you retired like me, and you just found out you owe the IRS a ton of money? Well, what would your life be like if they took your retirement savings away from you? They can do it, and your property. If you owe the IRS back taxes or you haven't filed in a while, the Tax Relief Line is here to help you. They can stop the IRS from taking your retirement savings. If you qualify, you could have your tax bill reduced to zero. That's right, if you're retired and you owe the IRS a lot in back taxes, you could have your entire tax bill reduced to zero due. The IRS has now hired thousands of new employees, so they're ready to come after you. Don't let them take your retirement savings or property. Make this free call now.
800-590-4933. 800-590-4933. 800-590-4933. That's 800-590-4933.
Days are getting cooler.
The shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means? It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Back. Carver and Lisi, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM 159. Great to have you with us. All right, Joe, we're about to get out of here. Let's do these touchdowns because you said you have a few, and I have a few as well. Yeah. Here's what I'm going with this week. I told you that I expect Fields to go up top to Pickens, and it's actually going to count this time, plus 250 for Pickens against the Chargers. Bowers has had a lot of targets, Joe. He's caught a lot of balls. He just hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. I think that finally happens. Plus 240 for Bowers to score.
I'm on
against. You're on Bowers too? That's what I like to hear. 3. Lamar in Jerry's world, plus 175. Cowboys have had a lot of problems stopping the run. You know, Lamar's been running around a lot the first couple weeks. I think he's going to have even more on himself, being 0-2, to try to make sure that they get a win. Lamar at plus 175. Laporta hasn't scored yet for the Lions. You want him to go big, 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 big. How about Laporta at plus 155 to get one for the Lions? And I told you one earlier, which was Pitts. I don't think that the Chiefs have been good against the tight end so far this year. It seems like that Cousins is trying to get these other guys, London and Pitts, involved a little bit. So I'll go Pitts plus 220, Joe.
I like it. So I'm all plus money with you. Bowers was one of my picks. 98 yards. I'm with you. He gets utilized. How about Anthony Richardson, even money? I think this is a game that he looks to take over with his legs. I think if it's close to the goal line, he eats. So give me Anthony Richardson in regards to that matchup. Dalton Schultz, a security blanket on the road for C.J. Stroud, plus 330. Everybody looking at Diggs and Nico Collins. I like Dalton Schultz in terms of goal line situations, plus 330. I like Justin Fields, plus 220 to score at home. Again, I think if he's anywhere near the goal line, the fact that it's home to solidify that starting job and gives Pittsburgh the win, I think he's good. Plus, he's using his legs enough to make some plays. And then two wide receivers, St. Brown in the Detroit game. You like Laporta, St. Brown at plus 110. I think he's going to eat. Everybody looking at Jamison Williams. I like St. Brown to be the main factor in regards to this matchup. Cooper Kupp was eating against that secondary before he got hurt. I look for St. Brown. And then Tyreek Hill, Carver, plus 180. Plus 180.
Yeah, I saw that too, Joe. Look, you're getting a plus. I know it's Skylar Thompson. I know it
Plus
is what it is, but you're getting
Almost
a guy
2 to
who's
1.
normally minus 115 to plus 110 in that range, and you're getting him at plus 180. So I'm with you, Joe. I think it's one worth maybe.
Here's the other one, too. These receivers, DK and him, it's like 1 versus 1. He's going to say, give me a shot to Skylar at some point. Give me a shot to burn them over the top. You want to give me 2 to 1 on that? I'll take it every day of the week.
Okay. Good job, Joe. I like yours as well. I think I'm going to try to give you the games I don't think we've mentioned once this hour. Believe it or not, Eagles and Saints. I don't think either of us have brought up Eagles or Saints with anything
I like
this week.
the Eagles. I don't like the game, really.
I like the Eagles as well. I don't love it either,
what
but
about
Saints
the
minus
total? Can we get
2.5.
over that total? Total scares me.
It feels
50.
like we can because the Saints have been scoring so much, but I have a feeling you're getting an Eagle. I think you're, and I know I've heard all week the Eagles never play well in New Orleans. The Eagles never do this. And there's always an excuse when Hurts doesn't play well either. He's got a stomach ache. His ankle hurts. He can never just say I didn't play well. There's got to be some story that filters out 48 hours later that, he had a bad steak or something in his bed and he was sick. That there's always something extra with this guy.
He ain't bad eel, you think?
He ain't bad eel. I think every other game. Oh, the Injury Bowl, the Niners and the Rams. With the Niners minus 6.5. I do too. They always play tough games, and I know there's no Cup and no Puka and no Offa. The Niners are missing a lot too, and it just feels like McVay and Shanahan
Who do you believe in
play.
more, Purdy or Stafford in that situation? I believe more in Stafford. I think. I know it sounds crazy.
In fact, Joe, I think some of the Ram guys, some of those wide receivers, the Robinsons, etc., they're going to play. I think we can get some nice alts on those guys on Sunday. Some nice alts for them.
Could they give them time with that offensive line? Could they give them time?
Let's hope so. Or maybe a big Kyron Williams day, too, because he's going to see the bulk of the action in that game. We won't see each other again before Monday night. I think the Bengals will beat the Commanders, Joe. I know it's 7.5. And I'm very nervous about. Yeah, that's an over. It's 40. I'm nervous about the Bill thing because they never play well against the Jaguars, and it's a tricky number at 4.5. But I think that if the game was Sunday at 1, I would feel worse about it. I think that the Buffalo primetime night lathered up crowd is going to help the situation. Jacksonville stinks. Bills win, maybe not cover.
I like the over there too. I would take a shot with Jacksonville, but I don't love it.
Like the over. Go for the over. You always love
for
the
Joey
over.
overs.
Every game. Every game.
People
over.
say my name is Joey Overs.
Over.
Go big or go home. Go big or go home.
You'll see Joe Saturday, college football today. Sunday, pro football today. Monday night for the doubleheader. Bills and Jags, and then the Bengals and Washington. So all about it. Have a great weekend, Joe. Tremendous job by you. Great job by Matthias Burbell. Enjoy all the games. Cash a lot of tickets. We'll see you back here on Carver and Lisi on Tuesday with me and Gentleman George. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.
Fall is here.
It's getting